With regards to what he said at first, I think it's extremely controversial, obviously. But I agree to some extent that it's not necessarily a representation of ourselves. But I can't agree that you should burn over the barrel like that. I mean, and also I believe there's some sort of genuine Nigerian representation in some of these things. So in that sense, I don't think you can take a torch over it and burn it down. But yeah, thank you. That's not what I wanted to talk about. You spoke about Nigerianism and what is the hope for us with that respect. And that's something that I'm very passionate about myself, because I don't feel like as Nigerians we have any sort of identity. I say this, it sounds controversial, but it's very true. Nigerians are not proud to be Nigerian, we're still proud to be Yoruba, to be Igbo, to be a Northerner, to be from certain places. With regards to going back from being Nigerian, I think it's important because the economy we have, the level we've reached of integration, I don't think it's possible to go back that way without some sort of extreme measures with regards to war, and people are very controversial with ownership of things. So I don't think we can go back in that sense. So what's next? I think we need to educate ourselves and we need to develop some sort of pride in ourselves. We don't have any representation of ourselves. When I leave the country, I don't have anything good to say that is mine as a Nigerian. I can't say Nigerians are good at this, Nigerians are good at that. I say we have oil. Where did you get oil from? We didn't buy it. We didn't do anything to get it. We don't have anything that we've done to be proud of since, as he said, when they colonized us and they left. Oh, sorry, this is quite personal. When they colonized us and they left, what have we done since then? As a people, we had a lot of people looting the government. We don't have people doing anything to reinvest in us as Nigerians. So I think that's the next step. Going away from tribalism, obviously there's a necessity in being proud of being a Yoruba, being an Igbo man. But further than that, we need to instill a sense of pride in being a Nigerian. There's no community sense. People still just want to take money back to their village and keep it to their people. We don't try to share with ourselves. There's no sense of community. That's my sense. Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Sheila Malota, and it's been stimulating seeing the plot maps and scenarios and stories. But the little boy that came forward, he probably will know some of the questions asked him because the boy is involved in the arts, and I'm very sure about that. We're agitating about history in schools. Particularly, I think our leaders need to be exposed to some of this information as well. But I think the solution in preserving history, while they are still fighting to bring that back into the curriculum, is the arts is the solution to that. In preserving history, in teaching history, and we shouldn't forget the story about the colonialists, the missionaries around the 1886 at that time. The Royal Nigeria Company, they were even financing the missionaries. And we have that as well as today. The multinationals, they have their say. If you don't belong to either the Christianity religion or the Islamic religion. In fact, you see they don't, maybe recently they started putting traditional and others. But primarily, going back to history, the African cannot remain the same because, and it's to our advantage anyway. We were exposed to so many cultures, and we were exposed to so many languages. And the more languages you write and you speak in, the better for you in terms of sales and all that. So, social-cultural, social-political, the African can never remain the same. Where do we go next from there? Not crying as victims, but looking forward to making betterment of the current condition. Because as you're looking at it, where people are still in slavery, the next 20 centuries, people will still be in slavery. Slavery, not by force sometimes, maybe by your sense of what. Look at technology. You need not beg people to join. So if we Africans can place things, which we are doing in so many frontiers, football, the arts, basketball, and so many places. If the blacks, if we can do things too, people will come on. The world is a global village now. I know blacks who think like foreigners, and I know foreigners, I know white people who think like black people. So where do we go in moving humanity forward?
And I'd like to listen to the opinion of the architect, because I think the holistic approach to build heritage that needs to be challenged very, very strongly. Because if we were to pull down all this colonial architecture, we would not even be here today. have no right to be in Freedom Park because this is based on colonial history, colonial architecture. All over the world where Nigerians are spending hard currency on tourism, whether it's Rome or London or Cuba, you see the architecture, they're all from various periods in history. Bath, the city of Bath, is a World Heritage Center, and that's a city that was founded on Roman conquest of England at some point. They didn't pull it down, so you want them all pulled down to replace them with what? All these shiny, soulless carbuncles in Ikoyi and Victoria Island, where the doors fall off the next day, and you replace them with what? Are you going to replace them with the modern architecture? These are valid remnants of the historical journey of this country, and the historical architecture, whether it's from the 16th century or 12th century, whether it's the palace in Ilesha, whether it's the modern architecture in the north, whether it's the Brazilian architecture on Lagos Island, they must be preserved. That is part of the history of our people, and that is what shows that we have a soul. And so I challenge that very, very, very strongly. Thank you.
And then theology will answer, because we have more events associated with this. We just end it there. Theology will wrap up. Okay, the conversation will continue downstairs. Theology will wrap up and then we'll take Williams.
Hello, this is Larry Williams. Hello, Downtown Wing Champion 1957. Yes, I am just going to say something. I thank Mr. Jonas very much for this soul-reaching lecture. I thank you, and this is just an opportunity to say thank you and ask one little question. You didn't mention anything about Lagos. You talked about Lagos. It's all about Lagos. But I didn't hear anything about Chief Bishop, Chief Holloway, Chief Cole, Chief Williams, Chief Evans, Chief McCarthy of Lagos. Why? Why didn't we mention this? There's some kind of social indifference that we just meet it. I wish Mr. Theolos can touch on this. I thank you very much for a so reaching lecture. I say that once again. Thank you.
Lectures, it's a discussion and it's work in progress. I will extend my research into that at the appropriate time. But please, I am an architect by profession, historian or history buff as a hobby. So this is a work of passion rather than an occupation. So I will extend this research into the descendants or the Saros, people who came from Sierra Leone. I mean, those are the Kokas, the Williamses, the Holloways. But I did mention the Saros and how they formed the middleman axis, who served as the agents of the British or the European merchants and government. But I think that's work in progress. So to wrap up, now to wrap this up, there's downstairs, there's a troop waiting to entertain you. I'd like to thank you all very much for coming in and bearing with me. I realized too late in life that I was dyslexic, but I'm trying to find myself in that. I'm not a public speaker. I tend to waffle a lot. So I thank you for the patience. I thank you for sitting this out and the torturous time you had listening to me. I hope next time I have the honor of visiting you and listening to you also try to make a fool of yourself. Like that. Thank you very much. Thank you.